welcome everybody to this second webinar in 2021. We're very happy to keep hosting these sessions where we teach different aspects that you don't typically learn in your English classes, right? We learn lots of things, but teachers, we hardly ever have the time to speak about these things in depth, right? So this webinar will be about international exams, yes, as you may well be aware. This is what we're going to cover today. We're going to actually learn what they are, what international exams are. We're going to explore a few of them: Cambridge exams, IELTS, TOEFLs, and others. We're going to make a comparison, among them. We're going to look at the similarities and differences that they've got, and we're going to look at training, how people can train, to succeed in these exams. All right. So let's just begin. But as usual, I've got a couple of questions to ask you. This webinar will include some sort of quizzes so that we all interact in our way. So my first question to you is, you may need international exams if you're planning to. Okay, let me create a poll, just a second. If you're planning to travel abroad, study abroad, work abroad, work in your home country, so that would be Argentina in our case, or all of the above. Like, international exams would be useful for all of the above. What do you think? So, only if we're traveling abroad, only if we want to study abroad, if we want to work abroad. By the way, abroad in another country, right? En el exterior, that is abroad. Okay, all right. So most people are going for E. Yes, exactly. All of the above. International exams can help us in many different ways, not just traveling, not just studying, not just working, and not just doing all that in another country, but also in our home country, right? So let's read a little bit about these exams and what they are. So they are exams that certify your level of English in different skills. By skills, we mean different areas in which any the learning of any language is divided. Typically, we find four: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. International exams certify your level of English in each of the different skills, and they usually give employers or universities or whoever is actually receiving your certificate a clear picture of how well you perform in each particular area of the language. So you may be an expert in grammar or in writing, but you may not be such an expert in listening, for example. So international exams and certificates, more appropriately, give you or give employers or whoever is reading this description the idea that this candidate has a certain level when reading, a certain level when speaking, and so on and so forth. They are recognized around the world by many organizations, and by organizations we mean universities, government agencies, companies, and so on. So these international examples that we will be looking at today are very well recognized around the world. Not any examination is, but these that we will look at definitely are. Good. Let's move on to the next slide. Just a second. Good. In the case of studying, foreign students need them to enter university or school abroad. So that could be the USA, the UK, etc. But some other students may not take take them just because they want to study. They may take them for migration purposes. So that is to say, if they want to live abroad, yes, to settle maybe temporarily or permanently in another country where they speak English. But also private companies value international exams greatly. Yeah, so could be private companies abroad, or could even be private companies in Argentina, right? So human resources areas, yeah, or the area of human resources in companies should be trained to actually distinguish between examinations. And probably if they're looking for a candidate that has a certain level of English, they will greatly value a particular certificate. Or even agencies in Argentina, government agencies in Argentina. So if you want to, for example, access or enter the Foreign Affairs Ministry, you know, Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores in Argentina, Cancillería, so because you're interested in following on that path and maybe thinking of becoming a diplomat one day. So a government agency in Argentina receives candidates that have taken at least one of the international exams that we will explore today. So you see that it's not just abroad, it's not just studying, it's not just working, it's not just migration, it's many of these things. All right? Good. This is what we were saying before. They generally test the 4 skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. This is what they mostly test and what they are divided into. However, as many of you probably know, yeah, Cambridge exams like first certificate and CAE and proficiency, they include an extra component that is use of English. Right? So it's a way to test grammar and vocabulary separately. Most exams don't do this. Yeah, IELTS and TOEFL, we'll see later, they test grammar and vocabulary within the other parts of the exam. Yeah. So what we were saying before, actually, with their results, universities, agencies, or employers can see what the candidate's level is in the different skills. Yeah. Let's look at another difference that they might have. Yeah. Some are computer-based, while some are paper-based, right? So that means that in some of the cases, you need to go somewhere in order to take the exam, right? So you need to do it old school, right? Pen and paper. But in other cases, computer-based exams are, for obvious reasons, gaining lots of popularity around the world. In most cases, before the pandemic, students had to go to an examination center and use computers provided by the examination center. However, nowadays, we are seeing a trend more and more of giving students the possibility of being tested in their own homes. Yeah, this hasn't been widespread. That is to say, it isn't the case for all exams. We will explore which ones can be taken in this format. But my personal opinion is that this is where the future lies, right? Like in the future, most probably we will be taking our international exams at home. Of course, then there have to be new ways of actually checking upon students, right? Like different, I don't know, security systems to check identity and to check they're not cheating, right? We will talk about this in a second. They're taken at examination centers around the world, and students get ready for them by taking courses at exam preparation center, such as Castle. So you cannot take an international exam anywhere, right? There are only a few accredited international examination centers where candidates from all the country go and take their exams. Yeah, these candidates may have been prepared in different ways. They may have been self-trained, so they trained themselves. They may have taken a course with a private teacher, yeah, at home, right? They may have taken a course at an exam preparation center, yeah. They might have trained online, but they all go and take the exam at examination centers. Yeah, White Castle is an exam preparation center, so that means that at White Castle we actually train candidates to take international exams, but they don't sit exams with us, right? They have to go elsewhere. Good. There is another difference between international exams, right? Some of them give you a pass or fail mark, right? Like regular tests, university, school, you either pass or you fail. But others, and this is quite interesting and somehow difficult to understand maybe, they just give you a number or letter score. So they don't tell you, hey, you've passed, hey, you've failed, I'm sorry. They just give you a score. You've got a 4, you've got a 5, you've got a 6, yeah? And this score may or may not be what you're looking for, right? Because some universities may require a given score of a given examination that you may or may not get, right? Some universities may ask you for a pass in a certain exam, but may also ask you for a 7 in another exam, right? So maybe you took the exam, you didn't fail, but you got a 6, right? So in that case, that exam was not useful for you for that purpose, right? Another thing that they've got in common is their price, yeah? Their price is usually stated in US dollars, yeah? And the average of these exams is around $200, yeah? Only examination centers can actually charge this examination fee, yeah? We, preparation centers, are the intermediary between the student and the examination center. So preparation centers typically don't charge any fee. White Castle does not charge any fee. So it's just the price that is stated by the examination organization, right? Good. They're all aligned to the CEFR. Yeah. Now the question is, what is this? The CEFR. This is the Common European Framework of References for Languages, right? So this is a international scale, yeah, that in a way groups all examinations and all courses around the world, right? So as it is difficult to actually compare different exams and their score, yeah, there has been this great idea of creating a common European framework of references for languages. So it's a standard against which all the exams are compared. And this is divided into 6 levels: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. These are the names of the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 6 different levels that technically exist according to the CEFR, right? And you may get a pass in first certificate, for example, and that means you get a B2. You may get a pass at CAE, and that means you get a C1. You may get a 4, yeah, at IELTS, for example, and that means that your level is B1, intermediate. Yeah, and what I have here for you, it's a bit difficult to actually see, but you'll know what I mean, is a chart that compares different exams. So what we've got on the left is the CEFR, this Common European Framework of References for languages. They are divided into, as you can see, 6 sections: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, and you've got the different exams, or the most popular ones available in the market, all compared against the CEFR. So, for example, let's focus on the most popular ones. Yeah, Cambridge exams, I'm marking them in blue. Yeah, the general exams are CET, PET, First Certificate, Advanced, and Proficiency, and you can see how they are directly linked with a specific CEFR level. Right? Or for example, IELTS. Yeah, let me actually zoom in a little bit. We've got different scores for IELTS going from 0 to 9. And we can see, for example, that around 7.5 and 7, this is the equivalent of advanced. That is to say, the equivalent of C1. And the same happens with TOEFL. Yeah, this American exam we will talk about in a second. So suppose you got a 100 in TOEFL, so that means your level is advanced as well, right? This CEFR is a scale that all international exams meet, but not only international exams, also language schools, right? So at Castle, our levels diagram, yeah, each particular level is directly linked with a CEFR level, right? So for example, if you're taking adults 4 with us, yeah, your level is B1 or is going to be B1 when you finish the course, right? If you're taking junior 2, that would mean that your level is somewhere between A1 and B2, or it will be when you finish the course, right? So that is also important, because you may say, all right, I'm taking junior 2 at Castle, and you go and move, and you go, I don't know, to Spain, and you would like to continue your English training in Spain. Well, now you can do it because we offer online lessons. But suppose we didn't, you would have to go and say, hey, I passed junior 2. And Spanish people would actually go like, and what is junior 2? Right? So when you show the certificate that Castle has given you, yeah, they will see a description that actually mentions what CEFR Junior 2 means, right? So that is a very important standard against which international exams and courses around the world are compared. Good. Question time, so I can have some water. How many international exams are available in the market? Come on. Take your time. The options will appear at the bottom of the screen. All right, we've got around 10 people that haven't answered. So you've got the options at the bottom. Tricky question, tricky question. Okay, so let me share the results for everybody. Let me show this in the middle so everyone can see. So 20% of our audience believes that it's A, right? So that means there are only 5, right? 37% of the audience believe it's B. There are around 15 in the world, okay? And 22, that is to say the minority, believe it's C, yeah? There are over 100 exams. Let's see what the correct option is. All right. To be honest, I was surprised by this answer too when I did my research on exams. It's isn't it? And we're just talking about international exams for the English language, right? We're not talking about any international exams in the world. You know that Spanish has got international exams too, right? So students of Spanish from different parts of the world may also want to certify their level of Spanish around the world, right? Or maybe if you went to a German school, you may have had to certify your German level of English, all right? Good. Let's talk about the most popular ones, because yes, there are around 100, but not all of them are popular around the world. Not all of them are useful for different purposes, right? So our advice and everyone's advice is actually to focus on these 5 in general, yeah? These are the most popular. Yeah, you may have seen the cover, the illustration in our Instagram publications. So we've got TOEFL, first certificate, CAE, and IELTS. These are typically the most common ones. Let's look at each of them individually. Cambridge exams, yes, or the examination section of Cambridge University, you know, this is the University of Cambridge in the UK that has a whole department devoted to assessing the English level of students around the world, yes, and they got very popular doing that, right? The 3 most common ones are first, advanced, and proficiency. And you know that these are the 3 names they take nowadays. In the past, they used to be known as FCE, CAE, CPE, and we still use those those acronyms, yeah, but the official name now is B2 first, C1 advanced, C2 proficiency. They're the most popular ones in Argentina. Yes, that by far. You may have noticed that many language schools in Argentina, yes, or even bilingual schools, offer Cambridge examinations to students, right? So the Argentinians, we are very interested in taking Cambridge examinations as part of our English career, let's say, yeah? And extremely popular around the world. So we haven't said the most popular around the world, and we'll see why, yeah? Cambridge examinations are divided into 3 categories: school, general, and business, yeah? School section of Cambridge exams are targeted for students at primary and secondary school. They're really common in bilingual schools. So if one of you has studied at a bilingual school in Argentina, you may have probably heard of them. For little kids, they've got 3: starters, movers, and flyers. Yeah, these are the 3 we saw at the very bottom in our slide where we compare the exam. This one, let me see if this is the right one. Just a sec. So when we compared in this chart, we had at the very bottom starters, movers, and flyers. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, they actually certify a low level of English, yeah, and they are targeted for little kids in primary school. Yeah, let me go on with that. Okay, but at schools you can also take key, preliminary, or first for schools. Yeah, so KET, PET, and first certificate, yeah, they have their own school formats. So if you are an adult, you probably would take the first version, the general version, not the school version. But if you're at a bilingual school, they might probably offer first certificate for schools, right? General, KET, PET, first, advanced, and proficiency. And Cambridge exams also offer a business suite, preliminary, vantage, and higher. So you can also certify your level of English according to the business world, right? So as you can imagine, the exams are targeted for business people around the world, and they also train you and test your ability to handle to handle a conversation and to handle business in English around the world. We're going to watch a very short video that actually introduces us to Cambridge examinations. Yeah. Maybe in Instagram you don't see like the whole video, but the important thing is that you listen to the speaker, right? Explaining practically the things that I have explained, but at least you can hear another voice. So here we go. Great. Okay. So this has been a bit introductory, yeah. And of course, this has been prepared by Cambridge University, and their goal is to sell exams around the world. So in that case, everything seems wonderful with the music and stuff, doesn't it? Let's change the focus and let's look at IELTS. Yeah. So IELTS means International English Language Test or language testing system. Yeah, this is one of the most popular exams around the world for students that want to work, study, or migrate to an English-speaking country. The most popular ones are Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK. In these four countries, IELTS is by far the most popular examination. Yeah. It is also popular in the USA, but notice that we have excluded it from the most popular list. So it is popular in the USA, it is accepted in the USA, but it is not the most popular there, right? Let's look at IELTS in particular. It is offered in two formats, general training and academic. IELTS academic, this is recommended for people planning to study abroad in higher education, right? So by higher education, we mean university undergraduate courses, postgraduate courses, PhDs. You will eventually have to certify your level of English if you're going to study abroad. And IELTS academic has been designed for that, right? IELTS general training is not strictly connected with the studying world, but you may need it if you're just going to settle somewhere temporarily or permanently, that is to say migration, or if you're planning to work abroad, or also if you're planning to take on some training programs. So not higher education. You may travel abroad in order to take a course, I don't know, a music course, a film course, something that is not higher education per se. General training could actually help you there. IELTS doesn't have a pass or a fail as first certificate, CAE, and proficiency do. IELTS give you a score from 8 to 9. Right? So you take the test and you get a result. Yeah, and you can clearly see what these scores mean. So if you get 9, you're an expert user. If you get 1, you are a non-user. That is to say, you don't speak English. Yeah. If you get 4 and 5, yeah, you are a modest user, right? So this is somewhere in the intermediate scale. 6, you're a competent user. We're going to look in a second at what scores you might need depending on what you want to do, right? But don't think of these scores as Argentinian school scores, like 10 is the best and 3 is horrible, right? Because some universities, some government agencies around the world may just ask you for a 4 in order to fulfill your particular purpose, all right? And this is actually what you have now. I have prepared a few scenarios for you. Imagine you want to finish secondary school and go to study in the UK at University College London, right? So University College London says, all right, you want to study with me, I need to certify a level of English. Oh, but I speak English already. I'm sorry, but that is not enough for me. You need to bring your IELTS certificate and you need to get at least 6.5. Okay? Imagine you want to study at Harvard, yes, so even better than University College London in the United States. All right, depending on the course, that is what this hyphen means, 6.5 to 8, depending on the course. Suppose if you want to study linguistics at the university, at Harvard University, you will probably need a higher score, right? Because you're going to study something related to language. Maybe if you're going to study business, you may not need the highest one. So not only does it depend on the university, but also on what degree course you're going to take. Suppose that you're not interested in studying. You want to take IELTS because you want to go and live in Australia or New Zealand, what many young people are doing nowadays. All right. So you want to get a work and holiday visa. So this is not a temporary one, right? So, sorry, this is not a permanent one, it's a temporary one. You need 4.5, yeah? So you need to be between limited and modest user. So you see, they don't ask you for much. I mean, you need to have an intermediate level of English, but imagine that you don't just want to stay a year, right? That is what typically work and holiday visas, or maybe a shorter term. you want to actually live there. You want to become a resident in New Zealand. Okay, you need 6.5, so a bit higher than that, right? But not only migration. Imagine you're a flight attendant, you're a pilot, and you want to get a job at Turkish Airlines. Well, Turkish Airlines accepts IELTS, and they require a 6.5. Okay, so these are just examples. Yeah, so you can see that the score that you may want, it all depends on what your purpose is. All right, let's watch a little video featuring some basic information like you just heard, but on IELTS this time. You won't hear a voice, you will see nice graphics that will actually help you understand a bit more about the exam. Here we go. Okay, can you hear me now? Yes. All right, don't know what happened there. So, we just looked at a few infographics, right, on IELTS, again, prepared by them, yeah? So, of course, their objective is to sell, yeah? And you see everything is nice, everything is beautiful, the music makes you want to take the exam right now, right? But we'll continue comparing them so we can then give you our verdict, okay? Good. We're going to move to TOEFL IBT. Yes. So TOEFL stands for the Test of English as a Foreign Language. Yeah. It is offered by ETS. This is an American organization. Yeah. And it is widely accepted in over 150 countries. And it is the most popular exam in the USA and Canada. It is specially designed for university students. So In the United States, IELTS is definitely the most popular, and it is the one you must go for if you're going to study in the United States or in Canada. Yeah, that doesn't mean that IELTS is not accepted elsewhere. Sorry, that TOEFL is not accepted elsewhere. You may use your TOEFL certification to go to the UK if you want. Yeah. The difference between TOEFL and IELTS is TOEFL is strictly and specifically designed for university students. So you don't want to take TOEFL if you're going to work abroad. You don't want to take TOEFL if you want to get, I don't know, a promotion in your home country. You may, because it is an exam that's recognized around the world. But again, it is something that you need to check with your employer, the government agency you're applying for, the university you're applying for, and so on. The score of TOEFL is different from IELTS and is different from Cambridge examinations. It actually is a band score that goes from 0 to 120. So as you can see, each part, each skill, reading, listening, speaking, they give you a score out of 30. Right? So 0, between 0 and 30. And this is added to a total score between 0 and 120. Yeah? And you've got here a bit of a description of what the scores mean. So if you get somewhere in the middle, like if you get 60 out of 120 or 15 out of 30, yeah, this is what I'm talking about, your level is somehow intermediate. Yeah, if it is lower than that, they considered it low. If it is higher than that, they considered it high. Yeah, I've prepared another scenario in case that you want to go and study at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the best, if not the best university in the world, depending on what the degree course you're studying is. So you may have to get between 90 and 100. Again, this depends on what degree course you're studying, right? Suppose you want to study at Cambridge University. All right, they ask you for 110. Yeah. Anyway, strangely enough, if you look at the chart, 110 is actually higher than what they ask for IELTS if you compare all of them, right? So this is a bit contradictory, and our recommendation is that you actually check the exact requirements that your purpose has and then decide what exam suits better in this respect, because you may be surprised that you may have to take IELTS because it's actually easier because of the score that they accept, or the other way around. Yeah. Now I prepared another scenario. Imagine you want to, as I said before, join the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Instituto del Servicio Exterior de la Nación Argentina. So that would imply that you need a 79 in TOEFL. So you can, it is for work purposes or studying purposes. It's not in the United States, but notice how even Argentinian organizations accept TOEFL. Yeah. And as we've done with the other ones, let's quickly watch a short video on TOEFL. Yes, a sort of introduction to what TOEFL is. Okay, all right. And again, nice music, motivating speech. They are trying to sell. We'll see what our conclusion is towards the end. Yeah. We're going to move on to the comparison stage. Yeah. So which one you choose depends actually on 6 different aspects. So it depends on your goal. Goal means objective. It depends on your destination, like where you're going to, yeah, if you're traveling. It depends on the price, right? How much money you can spend on an international exam. It depends on the scores, right? What I mentioned before, some scores may be more favorable than others. It depends on the results, how quickly you get them. Maybe you need to apply next month, right? Or even next week. And validity. Should you take an exam now if you're going to apply for a scholarship or a visa next year? So let's see. I'm going to ask for a bit of interaction now again. B2 first or first certificate is the best one if you're planning to study at university abroad. Is the best one. Is it true? Is it false? What do you say? All right, okay, so most of the people in the audience believe that this is false, and 28% believe that this is true. Let's see. So we've got a comparison chart here with IELTS, TOEFL, CAE, and first certificate. So we've got the goal. The goal is higher education, summer programs, so studying for a short time, yeah, work or migration. We've got a tick for IELTS in higher education. That was the question. A tick in TOEFL, a tick in CAE, but a cross in first certificate. Okay, so the answer is false, right? So first certificate is not the best option if you want to study at university abroad. Why not? Not because of its reputation, but because of the level. First certificate certifies a B2 level of English, and in general, in higher education, they will ask you for at least an advanced level of English, right? So you can see that CAE is ticked. So that means I shouldn't take first certificate, not at all. It is great preparation for what is to come, right? It is great preparation for then continuing your training onto CAE or proficiency or IELTS and TOEFL. Or maybe your point is not to study abroad in higher education. You may want it for work in Argentina, and employers actually value first certificate a lot in Argentina because it's quite popular, because many people know of it, right? TOEFL is the most popular one in the USA. Do you think it is true? Do you think it is false? We've seen the stats. So if anyone fails in this question, you haven't been paying attention to me. That's what I have to say to you. All right. Or maybe you didn't understand. But I'm seeing some falls of some students that have a high level of English, right? Good people. So most of you have chosen true, while a few have chosen false. TOEFL is the most popular one in the USA, and this is actually true. Look at the chart again. We've got the country of destination. So if you're traveling to the USA, TOEFL is the one to go for. Why does IELTS have a cross? Well, not because it is not accepted. It is, but it is not preferred. That is another thing, right? TOEFL is not preferred in the UK, for example, right? Whereas the other ones are. For obvious reasons, IELTS, CAE, first certificate, they are all English exams, if you know what I mean. They're British, right? TOEFL, on the other hand, is American. So for obvious reasons, it will be preferred in the USA. But notice that in the chart, there are more ticks than crosses. So that is, you can actually use your exam wherever you are, right? So I took CAE 2 years ago, and now I want to apply for a scholarship in the USA. Should I take TOEFL? Well, first check if your university does not accept CAE, because it most probably will, right? So it is a question of checking requirements. We also can do a comparison of price, though you may see that there is not much variation. Yeah. So the cheapest ones are first certificate and TOEFL. In the case of first certificate, because the level is upper intermediate, and in the case of TOEFL, this is the only price they've got. IELTS is actually, together with CAE, the most expensive of the four. But as I have said before, more or less the price is the same, right? Around $200. We've got scores compared here. So you can see, for example, that 4 means pre-intermediate, whereas 40 means pre-intermediate in TOEFL, or 7 means advanced in IELTS, but 95 to 120 means advanced in TOEFL. So scores are something to pay attention to depending on what you want, right? When do I have my results? So I need to apply for an internship or a scholarship in 2 weeks. Well, then go for TOEFL. You get the results in 1 week, or go for IELTS. If you take the computer-based, that is what CB means there. If you take the computer-based, you get the results between 2 and 5 days. Paper-based in around 13 days, right? First certificate, CAE, 2 weeks minimum if you take the computer-based. Paper-based, oh my God, wait and sit and wait, right? Between 6 and 8 weeks. So definitely not the one if you're in a rush. Now, I've got another question for you. Which of the following ones is not true? So that is to say, it is false, right? I wanted to complicate it a little bit. We've got B2 first and C1 advanced are valid for life. You choose A if you think it's not true. TOEFL and IELTS are only valid for 2 years. You choose B if you think this is not true. C, all exams are valid for life. You choose C if you think that this is the wrong one. So only one is incorrect here. Okay, so most of you have gone for C, and you were right, yeah? All exams are valid for life. False, not all exams are valid for life. The other ones were true. B2 first and CAE are valid for life, yeah? So they've got no expiry date, but IELTS and TOEFL do. They expire in 2 years. This is an expiry date that the examination organization sets, right? But maybe if you are applying to university abroad, they may tell you, if you bring CAE with you, you can't have taken this 10 years ago. You need to have taken this within the last 2 years. Oh, but Matthias, in the webinar of international exams, last year, imagine, said that they've got no expiry date. And they will kindly say, well, first of all, I don't know who Matthias is. And second of all, these are the rules at our university. If you bring CAE, it has to be taken within 2 years. So this is just, let's say, equality of the exams per se, but then the organization or even the employer may ask otherwise, right? Say, oh, you've got first certificate, but you took it 10 years ago. No, I need something that is a bit more recent than that, actually. Yeah, good. All right, we've come to the last part of our presentation, yes, and this is where we're going to explore other exams. We will have a question section towards the end, yeah, so you will be able to ask any questions in our Instagram live or in the public chat in the virtual platform. So we've got other exams, and we're going to talk about two, right? PTE, this is Pearson Test of English. It comes in two versions, home and academic. This is similar to IELTS, you know, general training and academic. The price is a bit lower, so this may be tempting. It is recognized, widely recognized, or at least I've been cautious to write, with increasing recognition around the world. What does increasing recognition mean? Well, that actually universities are starting to accept PTE, but this is a process. So you may be allowed to take it or you may not. It depends on what you're applying for. The biggest plus, you get the results in 48 hours. So this is amazing. Imagine you need to do it you need to apply next week, right, for whatever you're applying for. And the only option for you is PTE. And this university that you're applying for happens to accept PTE, then this is a good option then. Well, you may know this one, yes. Probably all of us who are here were very interested in English or languages in general, so you may know of the application Duolingo. All right, so you know this free application that we can play and learn at the same time? Well, these people have developed the Duolingo English test, yeah? Believe it or not, yeah, even though it may sound as a joke, yeah, because we associate Duolingo to like these application on my phone, yeah, this has increasing recognition around the world. And many universities, many government organizations, yeah, for example, to migrate to different countries, such as Canada, for example, are accepting Duolingo English test. What is biggest plus? Of course, the price, $49. So if you fail, you can take the same exam up to 4 times till you reach the price of, say, IELTS, right? That was about 200. So you may take Duolingo English test and fail and train more and take it again and fail, or maybe you pass and that would be brilliant. But if you do, it's like you get many attempts, right, for a lower price. So that is a good option. Also, it is taken online from home. No examination centers, no paper format, taken online from home, plus 48 hours results. Now you may be thinking, all right, so the advantage of taking these online may mean that this may not be accepted so much. And yes, of course, right? So they've got these security systems in order to check that you're not cheating, and these secure windows, you know, you can't do much more on your computer but to do the test. And you also got a timer. So this is an exam with increasing recognition around the world. Is it a test to take just because you want to certify your level of English? No. Is it a test to take if the organization that you're applying for accepts it and you're in a rush? Yes, go for it. Training. This is a question that some of you have been asking in the chat and in the questions. What do I do if you want to take an English exam, sorry. Do you teach yourself with books or study online? This is the only option. Do you study with a private teacher? So you phone these teachers, say, hey, I want to study for it. Is it the only option? Do you take an exam preparation course at a language school? Do you study at White Castle? Is it the only option? Or all of the above would be possible options if you want to train for an international exam. All right. Some people have chosen study at White Castle, but we won't be lying to you. You can train in other ways, not just at White Castle. It will be great preparation. Yeah. Good. So these are the results. Yes, all of the above. So if you want to take an international exam, you may teach yourself with books or study online. So that is to say, you buy your books at a bookshop, you ask this I don't know, colleague of yours, friend of yours, English teacher of yours who knows a bit about it, and what should I buy? What websites should I go? You may study with a private teacher, like a one-to-one lesson. You may take an exam preparation course at any language school that offers preparation courses for that exam. You may be welcome to study at White Castle if you don't, or any of the above would be fine, right? Good. We're coming to the end. 10 more minutes, yeah? So let's explore them in detail. Self-training, yes, there are numerous training materials such as course books and practice test books that you can buy at a bookshop, and you can start training yourself, right? You don't need a teacher in all cases, because typically this training material comes with explanations and with answers, right? So you learn while you practice. You may also you may also benefit from online resources. There are thousands of free and paid online resources. Yeah. So just by Googling first certificate practice test, IELTS preparation, you may not get the best, but you may get nice things if you're bored and want to work on your English, right? You may take a preparation course, right? That the benefit of this is that you are sure to receive quality training, yeah, because you are sure to be receiving training from certified teachers that have been actually trained to train you, yeah. You get updated materials, you know, these exams keep changing, yeah, over time, like typically around, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, there is a change in the format. So you may run the risk that you're actually training with old material if you use online resources, maybe private teachers that may have these books that they have always used for their exam preparation courses. They might use the same with you. So exam preparation centers are a great idea, because you make sure that you get the best training and updated material, yeah? White Castle is an exam preparation center, like we say, and we offer courses and private classes to train for all these exams, yes? So needless to say, we do train students with the latest material in the market. So for exams that are actually changing, yeah, we are obliged to change the bibliography too, in order to cater for these changes, right? Another thing that is a benefit when you take a preparation course at a preparation center is that you may be sure that the teachers undergo regular training, yeah, in terms of developments that these exams may involve. You may also benefit from the fact that teachers receive up-to-date and I don't know, training related to the latest techniques, or something that has come into the market that has proven more beneficial than something that was done before. So that is always a good idea. Also, suppose you are taking a preparation course already. Many of the students here in this webinar are already enrolled in first certificate, CAE, and so forth, and so on and so forth. So that is a good option, definitely. But it's also great if you can complement your course with self-training. Yeah. What do we mean by that? So you take your hours of weekly classes, but in your free time, you're also curious. You also want to know more, yeah? And you also explore different resources that that are available. Yeah, and we're going to briefly talk about two. Yes, we've got two resources ready for students: digital library and practice resources in our virtual classroom. Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen for a second to show you, in case you haven't seen that these resources exist in a virtual platform. Give me just a second. Okay, all right. So when you log in to your virtual platform, you can go to the very bottom and you will see other resources. Yeah, and that is digital library and practice resources. These are the ones you need to pay attention to in case that you want to find some other ideas for your international exam training. In the case of digital library, yeah, if you click, you will see two sections, right? One is our fiction section, where you can read novels and audiobooks, and practice section. This is the one we're most interested in if you want to practice grammar, vocabulary, you want to do some practice tests. Yeah, let's click and let me show you what you can find in these sections. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller for our Instagram viewers. All right. So when you click on these practice section, you will see different options. So do you want to practice grammar? Do you want to practice vocabulary? Do you want to practice idioms and phrasal verbs? Do you want to practice phonetics? Do you want to practice exam preparation? All right. So this is the one to go for in the case you're looking for exam preparation. So you will have a section on preliminary English test, and section on first certificate, a section on advanced, a section on proficiency, a section on IELTS, and a section on TOEFL. What can you find here? Lots of things. So for example, check your vocabulary for TOEFL. You get this marvelous book in order to improve the vocabulary for these exams. You may get, for example, say this to the IELTS examiner. So this is a collection of scripts that for some reason are highly valued by examiners. Yeah, so it's a funny name, say this to the IELTS examiner, but you get an interesting resource there. Practice tests, right? So suppose you want to practice, you're about to take CPE and you want to practice writing, so go for successful writing. Yeah, or you want to check your common mistakes at CAE, right? So this is a great book to actually read a collection of mistakes that students usually make. Yeah, and so on and so forth. So you will see that all these sections in our website will help you to actually prepare outside of class. Yeah, this is really recommended. Yeah, apart from the fact that you're already taking a course. Yeah, and then you have practice resources. So what you will get here is a collection of grammar and vocabulary online activities. So you will interact with the screen, right? It is not just a book. You will see a collection of activities that will tell you if you're right or wrong. Yeah, so you can practice grammar and vocabulary, pronunciation, but you may also get practice tests. Yeah, right. So you're taking first certificate. You want to do a reading of use of English. So you go and click here. This is all a collection of external links available in the website, on the internet. Yeah. And you can start doing your first certificate training, right? So a first time for everybody, you need to choose the correct option. Yeah, his hands were moving, trembling, jumping, rattling, and typically you can check your answers over there. So do count on these resources or other resources online. It is a great idea to complement your English course, yeah, with online resources in your free time. Yeah. People, we have come to the end of this international exams webinar, and I'm going to take a few questions if you do have. Your microphones are not allowed, so if you do have a question, you can type them. You can type it onto the public chat. It could be in English or in Spanish. I don't really mind. You can ask. Don't actually go crazy to get the proper grammar for these questions. I will be reading and answering questions both from the chat and both from our Instagram comments. Okay, so Cami says, if I hadn't done the CPE exam on an examination center, would I still have a C2 level? All right, good. This is a great question. So I think that what Cami means is, imagine I passed CPE at White Castle, for example, but I didn't take the real exam. Yeah, so White Castle would actually issue a certificate for you, certifying that you have passed the course and that your level is C2. Yeah, you will get a certificate, and this will be valid, yeah, to anyone who wants to accept it. This is the key. Yeah, if you want to study at university abroad, they will probably ask for the most popular examinations, CPE, advanced, IELTS, TOEFL, taken at an examination center, right? Like the official IELTS. Yeah. If you don't have any of these purposes, you may well keep our certificate to yourself and be satisfied with the level that you've achieved, right? Some employers may also welcome different certifications like the ones we provide, yeah, because they have a very specific and complete description of what your level is and what you can do in each skill, in reading, in writing, in speaking, listening. Kari says, how long is a course on IELTS? Does it depend on your level? Yes, it depends on your level and it depends on your objective. So we saw before, if you wanted to study at, I don't know, if you wanted to migrate to to Australia, you needed a particular score. So what we do, for example, at White Castle, to give you some general information, is if you do an interview, we actually measure your English level and you tell us, okay, this is my objective, to go and live in Australia. All right, so with your level, you would actually need to study for a year, 2 years, 3 years, more or less. So this actually depends on what your initial level is and what your target level is. Yeah, so we can't really say IELTS takes 1 year. We can say first certificate CAE proficiency usually take between 1 or 2 years, because in order to be accepted, you need to have an initial level. IELTS, you could train with any level, right? Depending on the score that you want. Okay. Good. Let me read a bit more. Para acceder a la biblioteca digital y las prácticas, yes, you need to be a student. Yeah, I think that now you can, because you are a guest. Guest means invitado, so you will be able to access this for a short time with your username and your password. Yes, but these are two resources that we offer exclusively for students. Manuel says, my university requires TOEFL or IELTS. Which one do you recommend me to take? Okay, it really depends on what training you've had before, right? So, and of course, on the score that the university asks. First of all, what I would do is actually check, my university asks for this level of TOEFL, this level of IELTS. Is there any difference in correlation? Is one easier than the other one? Yes, no, this may help you in the decision. There are other factors like, for example, IELTS is much more similar to Cambridge exams, like first certificate, CAE. So if you have been trained in the past with these examinations, maybe IELTS is much more friendly to you. You know what I mean? TOEFL has got different tasks, different activities. They're nice and you can train with them, but they are slightly different from what we are used to. you know? So I would say either of them is fine. You check the level and you decide, and you also have these, you bear this in mind. Any more questions that you would like to ask? Please type them into the chat. All right, we've got Ornella who's asking a question. Some years ago, I'm translating as I read. Some years ago, I trained and sat PTE. All right. Okay, postdoctoral course, but I'm not sure where. All right. So is it PTE, like Pearson Test of English, or is it PET? PET, Preliminary English Test. Ornella, because I think that B1 is for PET, but maybe you got B1 in PTE. Like there's maybe a confusion of acronyms. Anyway, let me answer your question all the same. If you want to do a postdoctoral course, you will probably have to certify a higher level of English than B1. B1 is intermediate, and it is a bit too low for higher education, right? So the first thing you need to decide is where you're going to do it, yeah, and what the requirements of that university is. Not until you don't actually check this, I wouldn't go for any examination. I would actually continue learning English. It doesn't need to be an exam preparation course. It could be just an English course, you know, just to improve your level of English until you actually make the decision to apply somewhere and you know what the requirements are. Mai, what's your question? I lost it. Oh, you said something about doing again the first certificate if you've done it a long time ago. How many years will that long time be? All right, first certificate is valid for life, yeah, according to what Cambridge examinations say, right? Says, right? So you don't actually need to do it again, right? You may take it this year, next year, and not do it ever again. But if you quit studying English and in 5 years you are applying for university abroad, or you're getting a job in Argentina, and the employer there says, okay, bring first certificate and I will accept you, but not first certificate that you took 10 years ago, first certificate that you took within the last 2. This is really up to the university, up to the employer. There isn't any official regulation that says first certificate expires after this particular number of years. Okay. Good. Any more questions? I see some people are typing. Type now or never, right? So if you're typing, if you're asking, you can quickly ask in Spanish. I will be happy to answer. So we've got an Instagram question. Which one do we recommend in our case? All right. The thing is, at White Castle, we offer Cambridge examinations like first certificate, CAE, CPE, because they are the most popular ones in Argentina. We also train for IELTS and TOEFL, so you can ask for that. So I would actually say that first certificate, CAE and proficiency are the best options if you have no clear objective. You just want to certify your level of English. Yes. So you don't want to apply anywhere. You don't want to work anywhere. Cambridge examinations are the safe ones to go because of specifically this, they never expire, right? And they are excellent, actually, indicators of your level of English. So unless you have a specific requirement, go for first certificate, CAE, proficiency, the general ones, the most popular ones, because you're not interested in doing anything in particular with that. Yeah. Ezekiel says, I need at least C1 to work in Europe. Yeah. If I want to take one exam, CAE is okay? Yes, because CAE is advanced. Yeah, is C1. You would have to check if there is a potential employer. You would have to ask them, do I need a certificate? Because maybe of an international exam, maybe White Castle certificate helps you with that. You don't need to pay for any extra exams. you take the exam at the end of the year and you receive a C1 result, or your employer may say, no, I want this particular test, but CAE is CE1, yes. Pili says, if I want to study abroad, is it better to take CPE exam or focus on an IELTS one? All right, if you want to study abroad, but you don't know when, so next year, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, go for CAE, CPE, right? First certificate, because you don't have a clear objective. If you have decided to apply for university abroad next year and you have checked on the website of the university and they say, we require IELTS this score, TOEFL this score, CAE this score, but you have to take it within 2 years, okay, then you make the decision. But if you have nothing clear on mind and you just want to certify your level of English, first of all, because it is a great encouragement for an English student. Like, no, you don't necessarily need to take an English exam because you have a specific objective. It's a great it's a great reward for someone that has been studying a long time, and also having an objective, like I want to take an international exam and I have paid for it, pushes you to keep going, right? Well, it says, I want to apply to university in the US, but not to one specifically. Which exam is more suitable for me, the IELTS or TOEFL? All right, if you have decided on the United States, like this is the one you are definitely going for, start looking at TOEFL, yeah? You don't need to decide now because you haven't decided on the university. So once you decide on the university, you go and check what requirements they are. But at least you can have an idea. You can check our resources in the digital library, for example, so you know what is a TOEFL exam, how different it is, and how comfortable you feel with it, right? So you are expected, for example, to hear instructions in real standard American English, right? So this may be like, oh my God, this is the first time I'm hearing this accent in my English class. But so that's what I recommend. TOEFL, but don't go for it yet, right? First decide on what university you're going to go for, analyze the scores that they require, and then you decide. In Instagram, they're asking, what is the minimal score to pass first certificate? All right, so 60% is usually what you need to get in first certificate to pass, yeah? 60%. This gives you a passing mark. This gives you a C, right? You have 3 scores, A, B, and C. If you want to get an A, you need to do more than 80% of the exam, right? If you want a B, or if you got a B, it's because you've done between 75 and 80%, or 79, yeah? And if you got a C, it's a passing mark, but you did between 60 and 74% of the exam right, yeah? So it's not that hard, like it's a little bit more than half of the exam, you know? People, I think we've got no more questions. Again, type now or never if you've got a last minute one before we leave. All right, this webinar is being recorded, will be available in our Instagram account as an IGTV video, will be available in our YouTube channel, so you will be able to access it, and will also be available in our Aula Virtual under the webinar section. You can see this one and all webinars that we have already broadcast, yes, between 2020 and 2021. Last question I want to ask, Karina says, are all courses online? Well, at the moment at White Castle, yes, we're offering only online courses until restrictions are not as limited. But in normal circumstances, you can take online and face-to-face courses. People, it's been a great pleasure to have such a great audience today with so many questions. I love questions because they clarify many of the things that I may have skipped or may not have focused so much on. on. So you've got a big thank you on the board. So this will be till next time, right? We will be letting you know when our next webinar is. Remember to